Hello, I'm Tom. I'm a teacher of 12 years and this is the first of 3 videos focusing from an academic perspective on the transition from primary school to secondary school and in particular on Year 7. So one of the first things to notice about Year 7 when they arrive to the classroom is that I think in comparison with many of the students higher up the school, Year 7s often, I think, can be characterised as really quite intellectually daring. They might not always immediately grasp what it is you're attempting to convey, and often their expression will lag behind their conceptual understanding. But what you almost always find is 2 things. 1, they're willing to give it a go, and 2, they don't mind getting things wrong. And most teachers will tell you that those 2 attitudes are something that tends to decline as students grow older. That willingness to give it a go and that undaunted attitude towards the possibility of failure or getting something wrong. Those 2 things tend to decline, and that's tremendously sad. I think we need to, as teachers, attempt to guard against that. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of being intellectually daring and enthusiastic by the simple fact that when you ask a Year 7 class a question, you're likely 9 times out of 10 to be hit with an absolute wealth of hands in the air, and it's great to see, it really is. And some people will tell you that's the result of, for example, a kind of childlike innocence because adolescence has not yet arrived, or because in being new and in being young they are just desperate to please. And both of those things may to an extent be true, but that doesn't change the fact that it's also exactly the kind of bold, enthusiastic attitude to learning that you're always going to find at the heart of real progress. So when you see that, you have to recognise and to celebrate it. So I think one of the things we need to be as secondary school teachers, primary school teachers as well, but in my experience they tend to do already a fantastic job of this. One of the things we all need to focus very carefully on is cementing those 2 attitudes. 1, a willingness to give it a go, and 2, an acceptance or a sense of calm in the idea of getting something wrong. Now, why is it important? Why does it matter? I guess most people would probably start by saying that if you are willing to give things a go and you don't mind getting things wrong, then you are likely to progress quicker. And I think that's certainly true, there's no doubt about that. And that alone is a good enough argument to ensure that all teachers ought to be focusing on and celebrating that kind of attitude towards learning. On its own, that's good enough. But beyond that, it's also worth recognising, I think, that what is it we teach when we celebrate that attitude towards learning, or what is it we provide? Well, in the long run, it's going to mean that we result, hopefully, of course not always, but hopefully, with students who will persevere amidst failure and with the kind of minds that remain undaunted by challenging material. And that kind of perspective, or that attitude towards learning, is, I would argue, certainly as important in life as it is in education. I can't think of many more valuable things you could truly give a young mind. So, the next time you see those hands shooting up in the air, and you inwardly smile at the outrageous amount of enthusiasm that you don't typically find in secondary school classrooms, just remember that there's something profoundly important there that we have the power to champion, to celebrate, and to preserve. And if we ignore that, or we don't do so, then we risk losing something that will be more beneficial to them than anything our curriculum has to offer.